Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the Buffalo Sabres and whether or not this season will actually be viewed as a success when it's all done and over with. But before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So I know I said I wasn't going to do a video tonight because of the bad storms, but they're not here just yet. They are getting pretty close, but we've got everything in the basement ready to go and I hit 800 subscribers. So I wanted to do kind of a thank you to you guys. So talking about this one with Buffalo, at first glance, it seems like a very odd thing. You know, this team had a 13-game losing streak. They are practically set to miss the playoffs once again for the millionth time since 2011. And you'd have to feel like this is just another year wasted. You're hearing a lot about these fans that are not renewing season tickets, and it's bad. But I actually think that there's a couple things that I was reading online that opened my eyes a little bit. And while I think that there are definitely reasons for, one side or the other, there is a little bit of a reason for optimism if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan. I'm going to throw some things up here on the board that will give you a good feeling about this. So looking at just points percentage, they're actually on pace to have a better points percentage than 6 out of the past 11 seasons. They are ranked 8th in the league for goals for per 60 and 2nd in the league in goals for per 60 at 5-on-5 and are having a really strong finish to the year. And what exactly do I mean by a strong finish to the year? Well, they've won 8 out of their past 12 games and have scored 5 goals or more, I believe, in 4 out of their past 5. They are playing, again, fun hockey, maybe at an opportune time where things aren't really going well for them. But I also wanted to look at this, and I might do a video about this at the end of the season, looking at where this team is, if you take away their 13-game losing streak. Mind you, other teams have had some pretty bad runs, and we don't want to excuse it, but when I looked at it, I believe they had 67 out of a possible 122 points in those games. I could be wrong with my math, but that would be putting them at like a 540-something points percentage, almost said save percentage, which would put them about bang on average in the league. I believe 17th in the league, right above the Vancouver Canucks, and fittingly 8th in the Eastern Conference, which has been a conference that has been, again, crazy and fun and exciting, but at the same time, too, kind of up for grabs in terms of playoff spots with a lot of these teams just not doing their part to get the job done. And so I think for Buffalo, that's very promising, knowing that when you... My apologies about that. A tornado touched down in our county, so this pushed back the video by like an hour. Circling back to what I was trying to say, basically, it's good to know that if you aren't at your worst when you look at the rest of the conference in the wildcard race, you are in the mix, and you could very well find yourself being that team that is in the playoffs. And I know that one of the good things about this being in the Eastern Conference right now is you have a lot of really young teams trying to find their own footing, trying to find their way in the league, and you, just like them, have to figure out how to be consistently good. And that might benefit you because next year, again, you might see a lot of these sides that were close to getting in be close, but they aren't able to finish it. Whereas Buffalo, with a high-scoring team that's able to fix some other things, very well could be that team next season. Now, again, we've seen that this is a top 10 team offensively that can score a lot at points in the season, and they still aren't in the playoff conversation. But I think that, again, looking at this, they are there. It's just more about not having a power play be sluggish to start off the year, having maybe a bounce back from UPL, and avoiding the backbreaker. That's what we talk about so many times throughout the course of this channel. The 13-game losing streak is your backbreaker, especially when it's at the early stages of the season. You've already dug yourself into too big of a hole realistically, and it's going to take something like a 13-game win streak to even get you back into the conversation. And that's what I think is the difference between them and a lot of these teams. While they may have had poor runs of play, it never was as bad as this. But again, for Buffalo, we are talking about, they're playing good and they have so much potential. And that's kind of where we get lured in again, where we think, is this a trap? And I think that if you're on the other side of this, looking at the argument here, you would probably say, well, yes, they might not finish bottom of the conference, even though they've been there for so long, as teams like Boston and Philadelphia probably will, or very well could, finish below them. But it's taken a lot of things to kind of culminate into those really bad, runs. The Bruins have nearly lost 10 in a row themselves, got rid of Jim Montgomery. The Flyers had a John Tortorella problem where he and Cam York got into some sort of altercation, and Torts wanted out. It seemed like the players wanted him out as well. And to add on to that, you can see a lot of youth and inexperience in between the pipes for the Flyers, and I think the argument could be made against Buffalo saying, well, do we necessarily think they're going to be better than the Flyers or they're going to be better than the Bruins next year? It's not a guarantee, and those two teams could very well finish below them in the standings next season, and that's kind of where it gets to be very hard for the Buffalo Sabres, talking over and over and over again about, this could be their year, this could be the year. Yes, they may finish the season strong. Yes, they may have scored a lot of goals, but again, we've been there before, and it's not been good enough. And yes, they got very, very close, but this team feels further away, while there's more young teams that seem to be kind of getting their groove. That being said, though, I think it's promising that aside from their worst hockey, they are, again, a playoff caliber team, and I think it is promising the way that they're closing out the year. Keep it up, kind of get the fans back and invested, which is going to be really, really big for this organization, because you can only do what you can do as a group of players. But I think for the Sabres, there's not been nearly as much drama as some of these other teams that have been bad. And if you can say high scoring and we were able to, kind of right the ship to a certain degree, we deserve to be, kind of brought back into the fold for Buffalo sports fans going into next season. That is a valid argument, and I do think that it does give a sense of optimism, even though, again, I hate to say it, I feel like next year it's going to have to be another prove-it year, which is what we talked about in season previews, but it's there for us. And so, Lindy Ruff, get this team going, get them to be what they were at their peak when Ruff was in charge. That would be fantastic. I have said it before, but I think some of these other teams in the East are aging or just dealing with some other issues that could hold them back in the future, and I think that does allow Buffalo to jump up. A side that has made some moves that maybe weren't popular, but they are, again, looking towards the long-term picture and hoping that things are different. And I did want to talk about them one more time throughout the year. This will be the fourth video talking about Buffalo that I don't think is our season preview. And I just enjoy talking about this team mainly because I feel like they've kind of become everybody's second favorite team to a certain degree because of the fact that they haven't been good in 15 years. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the Buffalo Sabres? Do you think that this is a good sign going into next season? Are they going to fool us again? Are they playoff caliber team next year? All that good stuff. Let me know your opinions down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. And I do want to say thank you guys so much. I appreciate hitting 800 subscribers. It means a lot to me. We are less than 200 away from 1,000, which is big. And also, I wanted to apologize in my video from yesterday. I sounded like a blabbering lunatic because I was super tired, but some of you guys seem to enjoy it. So I'm glad you guys understood the point I was trying to make, but when I went back to my editing software, I was just like, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about the fact you get a foot cramp? I don't know. It's just a very tired me that still enjoys talking about hockey. But again, you got to wear some of those failures as well as your successes. Not even sure if I said the phrase right there, but I still feel like crazy lunatic babbling me made some good points. So anyway, that's all. Everybody, please, again, make sure to stay safe and have a great night. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.